movie, The Wedding Singer, The Water Boy. It goes on and on and on. He's made some great stuff. But this movie that's coming out has really, he's fallen from grace, in my opinion. That may not be how you see it, but I have, because racism is very real. And whether we're making fun of someone in Hollywood or a certain race, it's kind of unacceptable in this day and age, and things have got to change. I hear that he is with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have my guest Lauren Anthony on with me. He is the actor, one of the actors who walked off the set from The Ridiculous Six. Lauren, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy and trying to get your school and education done, and I really appreciate this. I'm honored to have you on.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad to be talking with you guys. Hope everybody's doing great.
Wonderful. We've got a great audience listening to you tonight, and, you know, I was just saying, I've been a big fan of Adam Sandler's for a great many years. You know, Happy Gilmore, all of his great movies. I wanted to hear your side of this story. What happened? What took place on this set that made all of these people walk off the set? Because a lot of people don't know the story.
Sure, and that's totally the case right now. A lot of people don't know the whole story, and they're just kind of hearing bits and parts. And that's the way the media plays things out a lot of times. Is that, you know, they'll just, you know, just to create headlines and whatnot. But in our case, the story is basically you got some Native people who are offended about two characters in the movie by the name of Beaver's Breath and Where's No Bra. So in that case, there's more than that. There's more to the story, to why, you know, we did what we did and made our own personal decision to walk off set. And it was just a numerous of things that took place from the Monday that we started on set to Tuesday and Wednesday when it actually went down. And you're looking at, you know, when the casting director got a hold of me about this film, I had turned it down too much prior because I'd done Westerns in the past. And for me, I was, you know, not about the stereotypes because that's when that had happened. But, you know, being a big comedy fan and being a stand-up comedian myself, I, you know, thought, you know, Adam Sandler, a bunch of other awesome people on the cast, you know, it was exciting. So, and then the director had told me that it was going to be respectful to Native Americans, that it was going to be funny, it's going to be a comedy, and it was, you know, basically that's what we were told. And so I was like, sure, okay. So I went ahead the second go around to go for it, and got casted on. And as soon as we got on set, it was basically, all right, we're going to put these costumes on and represent the Apache people. And for me, I'm full-blooded Navajo, coming out of the Navajo Nation, which is like the Four Corners region. You got Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Colorado. And that's basically where our people are from. And the Apache people, you know, surround us as well. And we, you know, we share the land, and we also share similar languages, similar cultural practices, and spiritual beliefs. So, you know, being told to put these costumes on and act a certain way, it wasn't appropriate. You know, for me, it was like, I respect my cousins, you know, in that sense. So we're family. And but being a Western, you know, a lot of us were like, okay, sure, we'll go with it. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, people, you know, get scripts and they'll sit down and talk about, you know, what's going to be planned ahead. But in this production, none of that was done for anybody that was hired as, you know, Apache people. None of the main characters were allowed to see scripts or sit down and do a discussion of what's going to be taking place. So we knew nothing about this. We knew nothing about what was going on, and just as far as from what hearsay was from our casting director, that was going to be funny and not disrespectful to Native. But that was the first red flag for me. And how things are being played out as far as like bronzing non-Native people to look Native, you know, it's kind of like another form of if you want to say, red face. And that was another red flag. And then when we got on set with the props and the things that were, you know, portrayed as far as the scenery goes, it was disrespectful because, you know, they had teepees on set, and for us, you know, teepees are basically like our church. and they were desecrated and put the wrong way. So there was no cultural sensitivity to a lot of the things that were going on, and there was like stuff that was used as props that were, real weapons that could have killed somebody. And then there was, other things that were, dealing with safety issues with that. And then there was stuff that involved like ceremonial items that were just kind of thrown on the ground when they were supposed to not meant to be like that. And just a lot of no-nos, like on our point of view from a Native standpoint. These are things that we highly value culturally and spiritually and use during religious ceremonies. So, there was a scene where a Native female was, a non-Native female was playing a Native that she was squatting and urinating and smoking a peace pipe, which, that to Natives, we don't do that. And it's disrespectful to not only women, but just the whole standard of why, we use these ceremonial pieces. There was other scenes where they had another non-Native playing a Native who was passed out on the ground and was a female, and they poured alcohol on her so she can continue to revive herself and start dancing with full-on energy. So, things like that were just kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And then we got wind of the script and the names. It's just a lot of things that were just big no-nos as far as like disrespecting our women, disrespecting our people, our culture. And comedy is made to like be fun. It's really supposed to be laughing. And if you guys understand Native culture, Native people, we love to laugh. We joke about all kinds of stuff. But with comedy, it's about laughing together, not picking out somebody and saying, hey, we're gonna like make fun of your culture, we're gonna make fun of your heritage, we're gonna make fun of your people, we're gonna make fun of your traditions, we're gonna make fun of your religion and your spiritual ways. And but as Netflix said, we're all in on the joke, but apparently, nobody told us what was going on. So once I found that and everybody else found out, we made our own personal decision and say, hey, this is wrong, because I know I got people that, that I got to answer to, and I got my own beliefs and what I stand for that I got to, uphold, and I just couldn't stay there and say, oh, I'm okay with this, I'm cool with it. So it was a really tough thing to do, but at the same time, I feel totally 100% guilt-free. I feel awesome for what I did, just on a personal standpoint. And it wasn't for money, it wasn't for fame or anything. It was just making the right decision.
Absolutely. And may I say, you live in one of the most beautiful parts of the world. I was there back in February. I wasn't at the Four Corners, but I was a little bit out of Albuquerque, and I did have an opportunity to, I guess you could call it somewhat of a spirit walk. I spent a lot of time on some of the reservations and just took in the beautiful scenery, the culture, and it is a very beautiful, sacred, spiritual part of the world. And I was very happy to be in your neck of the woods. It was a very lovely little mini vacation for me. Not all. Some of it was business, but I turned some of it into fun for myself. But one of the things I read in an article, and I will post that article, folks, it's from Indian country, on my Facebook page, is something that really bothered me. And Adam Sandler showing his ignorance, because a lot of people, and I can say this because I have no Native blood in me. I married into a Native family, and I've been educated through the years on the struggles that the Native people have. And one of them is I call it the white man's poison, and that's alcohol. And if people really knew the struggles that are going on in some of the reservations around the country, I think they would think twice about making snide jokes and remarks about things like that. You would think, and I don't want to bring race into this, but I have a friend who is of Jewish descent, and she said to me one day, we were talking, and she said, you would think more of my Jewish counterparts would identify somewhat with the Native Americans, because they're Jewish, and they're an oppressed race, and she was brilliant when she said this. She said, after all, where do you think Adolf Hitler learned how to oppress us Jews? They learned it from how to do it from the United States with the Native Americans. she had a very good, valid point there, and it really kind of disgusts me that someone like Adam Sandler, who is a child of Abraham, as I call it, would do this to another race. It's just kind of disgusting. It's made me really not want to see any more of his movies, to be honest with you. How do some of the other actors feel? Are they on the same page with you? You said that some of them stayed on the set. Was that because of, for money reasons?
There's a lot of different reasons. I can see and understand, the reasons why some of those people decided to stay. As you're saying, there's a lot of issues on the Indian country that are going on with our people. Alcoholism being one of them. One of the issues that we do have is poverty. We live really impoverished situations where there are people with no running water, no electricity, no good roads. A lot of dirt roads, and so you're looking at true Old West in some points. And you see pictures of like Haiti and all these like third world countries, and the reservations are just similar like that in a lot of ways, but yet we're really resilient, and laughter is one of the things that we use to cope with all these things. And there's like historical trauma throughout the years that has taken place to where we kind of feel like, oh well, we gotta stay, because they said so, or because it's the right thing to do. So there's like that inner coercion that has taken place among our people, and the people that decide to stay because of those living in those poverty situations. Money talks. If you feel sick, you get paid, and that's the one thing that I have to think about too. Is like, am I going to get blackballed? That's another thing I thought about. But I wanted to keep my dignity, so that was my decision. And on theirs, that money is something that could feed the family, could take care of some bills and whatnot, and so people want to keep that track record too. It's a lot of times it's these movie sets. They hire on people for their first time, and they don't want to blow their first gig and not have another one coming. But those are some situations. And another one is like a lot of because of the historical trauma that's been going on forever. We had kids that were taken away from their homes, put into boarding schools, and then taught to assimilate into Western society. Right. To learn about Jesus, to learn about Western ways, that we got to put these certain clothes on, and we got to act a certain way, and just like the United States is doing to other countries now, and it constantly goes. So when that happens, you got those kids having kids later down the road, and they have kids, and then pretty soon the language is losing it, the traditions are losing it. So we're holding on to as much as we can right now, and that's one of the reasons why I left, is because what they're teaching the whole world is like this is how natives live, this is how they actually look, and that's false. That's not how we act. That's not how we are. And because the media portrays it that way for so long, we have alcoholism to the level because our people can't recuperate. There's no recovery. There's no I'm sorry that this happened to you. Just imagine if there was like just an official apology to a certain race or a certain ethnic group that got so damaged in the past, and how much healing that would create. How much people can find themselves again. So with the people that stayed, it's their decision. I don't have anything against them.
Right.
So it was all a personal deal, and it was like dilemmas. And the other thing too was because there's no electricity or anything like that, and you're dealing with people that will come on the reservation that have no TV. You got old grandmas and grandpas that were there, had no idea who Adam Sandler was. You got the little kids there that have no idea who Adam Sandler was either. So on that end, I kind of feel bad for them because they don't know what they're really getting themselves into.